We're coming off of God of War 2018. How do you top that? How do you deliver something that players will love maybe just as much as God of War 2018? The pressure was tremendous. My name is Ariel Angelotti, and I am the senior producer for narrative.
My name is Richard Gobert. I'm the story lead for God of War Ragnarok.
I'm Jody Kupsko, and I'm the supervising dialogue designer.
It's my job to shape the story along with our writing team, our narrative director, and game director.
As a producer, it's my job to help build a team to create that content, to own the schedule in realizing that content.
I oversee the dialogue production throughout the entire titles. Every line of dialogue that you hear, every human vocalization and effort and grunt, our team touches.
So I'm a man now, like you?
No. We are not men. We are more than that. The responsibility is far greater.
In the story of God of War 2018, we find Kratos seemingly having turned over a new leaf in the Norse lands. He lives a quiet life, hidden in the woods with his wife Faye and their son Atreus. And the story starts with them mourning her death. And we learn that she made a final request before she passed away. She wanted them to spread her ashes from the highest peak in all the 9 realms. He's scared of being a bad father, a bad influence, and as a result, it's made him an absent father. His greatest fear is that he's passed that evil that's inside of him onto his son.
You are too quick to temper. You are rash, insubordinate, and out of control. This will not stand. You will honor your mother and abandon this path you have chosen. It is not too late.
They befriend Freya, who is an exiled Vanir goddess who used to be married to Odin. They meet Mimir, the self-proclaimed smartest man alive, who serves as their guide and their confidant. And they meet the Holdra brothers, Brock and Sindri, who are world-class weaponsmiths who end up their main source of upgrades and equipment. Now, among the enemies they make are the Aesir gods, whose leader is none other than Odin, someone we never meet in God of War 2018, but who casts a very long and dark shadow over the 9 realms.
There are consequences to killing a god!
Why? How do you know? How do you know?
After many adventures, Kratos and Atreus end up fulfilling Mom's wishes, and over the course of that journey, they find out more about each other and about themselves, and finally find a common ground between them. They become the close family unit that Faye hoped that they would become. In God of War Ragnarok, we fast forward a few years, and little Atreus is now a teen, and they're back to hiding out in their home in the woods in Midgard. During the course of the previous game's events, they were forced to kill Odin's grandchildren, Magni and Modi, the sons of Thor. Thor does a lot of the lion's share of Odin's dirty work, and as a consequence, he's a very violent, unstable personality. At the end of the last game, they were also forced to kill Balder, the son of Odin and Freya, and that has its own set of consequences. He was a very powerful chess piece for Odin, one that Odin is incredibly bitter about losing. Freya has vowed vengeance against them for the killing of her son. Kratos and Atreus didn't want to kill him, they were friends with Freya, but Balder tried to kill her in front of them, and Kratos had no other option in the moment but to kill him to save Freya's life, even though it meant losing Freya's friendship.
I will parade your cold body from every corner of every realm and feed your soul to the vilest filth in hell. That is my promise.
He saved your life.
He robbed me of everything. Everything.
His death is also foretold to bring about Fimbulwinter, which is a brutal 3-year winter that is then followed by Ragnarok. It's an apocalyptic war between all the Norse gods, the giants, the dwarves, and the elves, and an army of the dead. They're all destined to fight in a battle that basically ends the world. Kratos is understandably worried about his son and what it means for him.
You get to go on this journey with how Atreus grows into a young adult and how Kratos grows into his next era in his life, and really see kind of the parent that he's striving to be, but the person he's striving to be. I find that tale so incredibly relatable.
We had started shooting plenty of content before the pandemic hit. In fact, the week before we all went work from home, we were doing a shoot. I remember being on and off that set, running back to the office and having to talk to studio leadership about what was going down and how this was going to impact us moving forward. And those were trying times.
For us, it was a very unique challenge because we had to bring in actors and we had to record them. And so we had to look at different ways of adapting our typical motion capture process and dialogue recording process so we can continue production and continue at the quality that we wanted for our players and our fans.
We had some actors stand in for other characters, actors who were already, who were like core to one of the scenes, might just be able to play a background character in another scene to be able to avoid a situation where too many people were on set on any given day. We avoided compromising the story that we were trying to tell as a result of the pandemic and these limitations that we had to deal with. There were no cinematics that we changed. We still have the same characters in them in the final game. We just had to get a bit creative with how we shot the content.
Our actor for Atreus, Sonny, is a teenage boy, and his voice changed dramatically throughout the several years on this title.
I don't want to fight anyone. I just want answers.
We had to go in and even out that performance so it sounds like it took place over a short period of time. That was a unique challenge on this one.
The prophecies say Fimbulwinter leads to Ragnarok. War is coming.
Whether the Norse saga was going to be a trilogy or just 2 games was something we debated a lot. There were obviously pros and cons for either approach. So we waited for Cory Barlog to weigh in, and he did, and he said, let's do it in 2.
The consequence to that is, how do you wrap up the story in one game and do Ragnarok justice? How do we lead up to that and then have a big moment at the end of the game and wrap up all those loose threads? This game is bigger than what we initially envisioned. There's a lot of important story moments that we needed to cover. There are more characters that we follow the threads of. And ultimately, it ends up feeling big and epic because there is a lot there for people to enjoy.
I am very excited for folks to see this final chapter. A lot happens. We put our characters through the ringer, but we also bring them closure and we provide answers to a lot of the questions the first game posed.
Just all of the new combat that we're doing and the new interactions. There's a lot of stuff that's happening in this title that I think people are going to have fun with.
We all have our own personal Ragnaroks to deal with. And this story is about how you process that, how you own it, and how you make it a part of yourself and grow from it.
I mean, we set some stuff up at the end of last game. There's going to be some consequences this game. We're going to see how things play out between Freya and Kratos. We're going to see how the evolution of the family relationship continues. You got Brock and Sindri, the dwarves, who are kind of part of your makeshift family now. And there's going to be some other characters that we introduce that maybe going to disrupt the balance a little bit. I can't wait until players get their hands on the game or are able to experience how the story unfolds for themselves.
We have, I think, an incredibly well-rounded game. Very satisfying combat, beautiful and rich environments to explore, outstanding character art, a lush and moving soundtrack and soundscape. It's the work of hundreds of very dedicated artists, and they all have their own stories to tell.
From a combat perspective, I always, and I still feel like the meat and potatoes of any God of War game is combat. My name is Roberto Clemente. All my friends call me Bert. I'm a senior combat animator here at Sony Santa Monica.
My name is Kim Wynn, and I'm a gameplay animator.
Hi, I'm Sabra, and I'm a senior VFX artist on God of War Ragnarok.
My name is Grace Pan, and I'm a gameplay animator in God of War Ragnarok.
Hi, I'm Stephen O'Hara, GBA, combat designer on God of War. And I create interesting and memorable creatures that players like to attack and defend against.
As an animator, you gave life to characters. You make them move, you give them personalities, you give them weight.
My role as a VFX artist is to put the power behind a move. You are in control of fire and earth and water and wind. Whether you are throwing your axe or on the receiving end of an enemy spell, VFX is what really gives the movement and the danger to every move that a character or enemy makes.
I work really closely with the design team and the tech art team on this project specifically. We actually work a lot with camera, along with the guidance of our great camera team, so I find myself doing fight choreography sometimes.
One of the most challenging parts about being a combat designer isn't the technical implementation of creating a creature, but it's really navigating that line between frustrating and engaging. We want to make something that makes players lean forward and focus and really try hard against an enemy and feel good about overcoming that, but we don't want to make them feel defeated if they can't figure something out.
And then it feels rewarding when you win, not because it was impossible, but because it was fun and engaging.
After the last game, we've heard the community cry out for more mini-bosses, bigger creatures, and enemy variety, and this time we really leaned into that. So in God of War Ragnarok, you're going to be traveling to all 9 realms, and each realm is going to have like its own theme of enemies that are very unique to that space. For example, in Alfheim, we're familiar with the Dark Elves, but this time around we're going to be fighting Light Elves, such as the Light Elf Warrior. One of the key learnings from the last God of War game is we don't have to think about the camera and how close combat is going to feel. We already have that knowledge, so we can build upon the close camera that we have, and we can iterate on enemies, creating more interesting scenarios. In the last game, Atreus was just starting to fight alongside Kratos, and he was learning from the Master Tactician. So in this game, he's trying to prove himself a little bit more, and we built upon those mechanics with him.
The previous God of War, Atreus was still a kid, right? So he has a lot of dependency on his father. And for this game, you will see Atreus moving more independently on his own as a companion.
In regards to VFX for Kratos, I think what the players really love is the powerfulness of it. When you are playing as Kratos, you really do feel like the God of War. And moving into Ragnarok, we want to really make something bigger, make it stronger, make it more of a spectacle. You want them to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that the Blades of Chaos could get even better, but look at that.
So as Kratos gets more powerful, he's going to have access to newer combos and newer abilities that will increase the combat depth of each weapon. For the Blades, one of the moves that I've really enjoyed from previous God of Wars is the combat grapple, and we're going to be bringing that with a new twist.
I'm very excited for players to try the blade grapple traversal moves. That brings so much more speed into the movement and the dynamic feel to it.
One of the ways we've expanded Kratos combat this time around is we've given more utility and choice to the shield loadout.
If you are a parry person, you could really go for a shield that gears towards parrying. If you're a big blocker, then you could choose a shield that will really match your playstyle.
One new mechanic or element that I'm really excited about is these combo finishers. Building up the stun meter this time around is going to lead to different ways to basically decapitate the enemy.
You're going to be able to choose, which weapon you want to have when you kill a guy. Another feature that we've added for Kratos is his new pre-fall attacks. You could jump off a ledge, and if there's an enemy below you, you could slam down on it.
There's such an emphasis on verticality in some of these fights that it's super engaging. And as Kratos, now that you have so much mobility and that you can also take advantage of that verticality, I think it just adds such another interesting layer to a fight.
In God of War Ragnarok, we've enhanced the Kratos and Atreus duo. He's going to initiate a little bit more, be aggressive. He's going to fight alongside you, and sometimes even surprise you with his combo abilities too.
Some of the new expanded companion actions that you'll see Atreus do leverage the fact that he's older now, he's bigger now. And he's different from Kratos, so his magic has a different flavor.
Not only that they fight side by side together, there are also a lot of mini games and player interaction moments. For example, like the puzzle systems and the set pieces. You definitely will see a lot more collaborations between father and son.
Odin must have sent them!
There's so much that goes into building a big set piece. You basically iterate and iterate and iterate, and it takes testing and just seeing what works to really figure out the personality of something. Basically, every department gives it their all to make things really spectacular. There were a lot of different times that I would look back at God of War games just through the ages before 2018. There were so many amazing, huge boss fights and set pieces that it was a huge inspiration for me on my time on this project.
For the Old Father!
Our design philosophy for creating new and memorable enemies is basically making them a combat puzzle, similar to like chess, and focusing on the chess pieces. Each piece has its own theme and its own use.
You need to be able to see what's happening in an instant and be able to react as the player.
There's a couple of different ways that we go into making an attack very readable for the player. Sometimes we add a signature audio cue, or we'll add the different rings, such as what we did in the last game, that lets you know that this attack is unblockable, you need to dodge it.
There's so many different ways that VFX really helps not just show what an enemy is about to do, but show who the enemy really is.
Everything you design has to be surrounding the essence of the character and a story. It's what makes it believable and memorable in the first place.
I think what I'm most excited about is for players to experience the diversity of enemies that this game has to offer. You will be fighting everything from small little creatures to things that will take up the entire screen.
All of their designs run the gamut. I think each one looks so much different from the next one, and each of them have their own play styles and their own little fantasies that go into it. And so I think if you are really into Norse mythology, you'll be very interested to see how Sony Santa Monica has taken some of these creatures and interpreted them for God of War.
Everything that goes into the game, there's emotion behind it and intent behind it, and by the time it gets to you, everything that you've seen that you're going to play and experience has been sweated over, bled over, tested, and is fun to play.
I get to lead a team of fantastic and brilliant concept artists, and our role is to create the characters that you see in the game. That's everything from the main hero cast you see to the creatures, the gods, and monsters that you come across. The hope is that we get something that feels unique and stands up to the history and the legacy of what the God of War franchise has always done. I feel like from the first games, that was a similar approach that they were doing, and that's not always easy.
My name is Ralph Grassetti. I'm the art director for God of War Ragnarok.
Hi, my name is Marissa Coppert. I am a character technical artist.
Hi, my name is Angela Rico, and I am a senior character artist in God of War Ragnarok.
Hi, I'm Della Longfish, and I am the lead of the character concept team at Santa Monica Studio.
Come in.
What in all yarns be the happened to him?
As a character technical artist here at SMS, I rig most of the characters and props that you see throughout the world.
As character artists, our job is to create 3D assets based on the beautiful concept art provided to us. We do this by making sure that the silhouettes on the models and the textures and materials stand out instantaneously. So when you see our characters on the screen, we want you to almost like them immediately or have a connection to them to some extent before even interacting with them.
As art director, I get the chance to collaborate with all the departments in the studio, from narrative to viz dev, because we want to make sure the factions feel correct, all the races belong to where they're supposed to be, like all the realms have very specific characteristics about them to make sure it all fits within the God of War universe.
Sorry, one more thing. Although, these are gifts I'm giving to you, so I shouldn't be sorry and you should be thankful. Anyways, here, please be careful.
In the God of War 2018, we saw Brock and Sindri, and that was the tip of the iceberg of the Huldra. And in God of War Ragnarok, we actually get to go and visit Svartalfheim, where they're from. And a great part of that, too, is we want to make sure that we expand the cast. You know, we've just seen a little bit of what was represented, and that was something that we hadn't seen.
Svartalfheim is a beautiful place. There's a lot of different biomes. You go from wetlands to mountain springs, and took a lot of inspiration from hot springs, from the minerals that you find. A lot of colorful minerals, a lot of resources. So the dwarves being the races that they are, we knew we wanted to play on that as well. So you see their influence on Svartalfheim on every corner.
It's a realm where you're going to find a lot of water environments. There's quarries. It's a very industrial city. It's very organized, and you can see all the dwarves putting all the work into creating this great city where they live in.
Knowing that they're blacksmiths, that was kind of reflected within their clothing. And you see that within the houses in every inch. We want to make sure that both the environments and characters had a cohesiveness that felt like every inch of it felt like it went together and was designed specifically by them. And again, that's something that we haven't seen in some of the other realms and is unique to these characters and their location. And the hope, it all goes together and creates a feeling within a realm that you're excited to see, feels unique, and really creates that sense of wonder where you want to go back.
When designing a character to match the geography around it, first it's definitely dictated by the viz dev team and the narrative team and the story team. They make sure the character is designed for features that fit in with what they need.
When designing the Grims, we took a lot of inspiration from the environment. So we took a lot of inspiration from lizards, creatures that kind of belong to that environment. They have those big claws. There's small critters to the big ones, and really building up that race, making sure they kind of belong and that realm felt lived in and that ecosystem felt like very diverse.
Making sure that it feels natural and believable is a big part that goes into the design elements. So our artist, Stephen Oakley, pulled a lot from the environment concepts that Luke Berliner and his team were doing and put a lot of those into actually the skin texture, even the bulk and volumes that you see in the characters. So it really does feel like not only do they belong in there, but you're able to see them and they stand out for the combat experiences with the character.
Character design is all about storytelling. In the example of Durling, his design was really tailored to convey his own personality. He's a bookkeeper from Svartalfheim, and because his job demands, he's very organized, he's very rigid, and he's a very play-by-the-rules kind of guy. But then in contrast, you have his friend. So when you see Durling connect with his pet, we see that he's not all just this rigid librarian guy, but that he's got a softer side to him.
I do believe that we're all storytellers, no matter what we do, even in the tech side of things. I mean, we work to make these characters that then tell a story, and we can also kind of put those features and traits on our rigs.
The prophecies say Fimbulwinter leads to Ragnarok. War is coming.
Svartalfheim, the dwarves, working with different races from different realms, so definitely seeing Ragnarok and the impact of that into the realm, it puts them into this position that's very interesting to see which side they take and things that they're building. So as you go through the level, you find out a lot more about this race and the political situation that is happening while Ragnarok and Fimbulwinter is taking place.
Hey, dwarves! Oh. They're, running away.
One thing that our hope is with the cast of characters within every realm is not that it's just enemies there to kill you. We want to feel believable and that there's a wide world out there, but we want to kind of plant these seeds within any cast of the realm that there's more outside of what you're playing, and we want the fans to feel like they can go back and really visit those areas and want to go explore.
If the geysers and smell here are worse because of Fimbulwinter. Maybe the earthquakes are too?
Aye.
Going into Svartheim, I'm really excited for players to experience all the new races that lived in that realm, how they play very different from anything we had before. There's wildlife, it's something that kind of goes unnoticed, but we took a lot of effort to make the realm feel believable. So there's a lot in Svartheim, a lot to explore.
I'm really excited for Svartalheim. It is a gorgeous realm. After looking through some of the cinematics and playing some of the cinematics and playing through some of the puzzles, I'm so excited how water plays such a big feature in that realm, and that is so cool.
I'm most excited for fans to finally get to see how the dwarves live. Brock and Sindri were fan favorites in the last game, so I think that all the work that we've put into Svartalheim is going to make all the other dwarves shine just as bright as the brothers did.
The best part I have is turning on to YouTube and seeing all these call-outs and all the attention to detail that the fans pick up on. That's one thing that we keep in mind when we're designing characters, to make sure we do right by the fans. And knowing that all the work we put in will be seen and appreciated, that's not always the case, but our fans just get every little nook and cranny on that. And we love that, and we packed a lot of that in for this new cast, and we hope you guys get the same feeling with God of War Ragnarok.
That's a great observation, John.
Ella said that you'd think it was stupid.
No, I said I thought it was stupid.
Okay, you know what? This is good right here. I mean, the God of War dynamic plays out in every parent-child relationship. When that clicked for me, I picked up my Leviathan axe and felt truly close to my son for the first time. I'm 17. Exactly.
Leviathan axe.
Ronnie, what's going on, man? You're a little quiet today. Anything to add?
No.
No is good. No counts. You know, Quinn was where you're at about a month ago, and look at him now. Okay, last night, 2 a.m., I'm laying in bed. What am I thinking about? Kratos.
Are you kidding? That's me, big time. That's common for me.
We believe you. You're being too thirsty.
No, I'm hydrated.
Specifically, the time he tried to protect Atreus from Baldur, and Atreus got so angry he shot Kratos through the chest with one of those, like that spiky thingy.
It was an arrow.
Arrow, great, spiky arrow thing. I mean, nobody can hurt you like your kids, right? LeBron?
Guess so.
What's going on beneath that headband?
I'm not even wearing one.
No, I know. You know. I mean, like, if you were.
When Bronny said he'd rather play against me than with me. Shot in the heart. Really?
I think we call that a breakthrough. Some shots you just can't block.
I can see that now, Ben.
Kratos.
I cannot believe I missed practice for this.
I want all the breakthrough. Ella, why don't you ever hurt my feelings?
Okay, you're old and you're bald.
Just like Kratos.
Now, John, last week you said you were finally ready to wear your Kratos outfit to the farmer's market. How'd that go?
Incredible. I had people pointing at me going, "No, that's a really great dad."
That's not why they were pointing. You were wearing a buckskin loincloth.
Ella, it's not buck, it's bear. And I get those points all the time. People pointing, oh my God, look at that great dad.
So why aren't you wearing that stuff today?
Well, unfortunately, my armor bears the scars of a recent battle.
He spilled a bunch of salsa on it.
That can happen, especially with the leathers.
Exactly. Tattletale.
Look, if it was easy, every dad would be dressed like this, right?
Does the costume really help?
I don't know. Does the costume really help when you play basketball?
It is a costume.
Time is running out. The prophecies say Fimbulwinter leads to Ragnarok. War is coming.
You don't really want war. All that blood on your hands, on your son's hands.
Fate only binds you if you let it. We will make our own destiny.